All right, this is a little bit different of a video for me today. We're going to be actually making a ukulele strap. I've got a completed strap here that you can see. This is made out of paracord. This is the end of the strap, and here's the side that would attach up towards the neck. And can see there's a little loop there for the strap button on this end, and then you'll see that we have these little crisscross things. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really easy. And these are so you can actually use this strap in different places all along here, and you can actually push a strap button through any of these spots. But you'll notice at the end here I've made them a little bit closer to each other. That allows for a little bit more flexibility near the end. Now this is a strap that is just about 1.4 yards, right? So it's about 40 inches. And to make a 40-inch strap, which will fit most kids and regular-sized adults, this is not actually large enough for me. I'm a big guy, and so I actually have to use a bit more. But to make one that's this long that will fit most people, so this is the one size fits most disclaimer. If you're going to want to make one longer, you're going to need more paracord here. And so we've got some little bundles of paracord, which you can just get in the craft section at most department stores. I got these at Walmart. I did a sort of feminine or a kid color here, and so now I'm going to do something a little bit more masculine in colors here, some neutral tones. And of course, ladies can use neutral tones just as well as men can, but I doubt men would want my little rainbow strap here. So it takes 2 of these to make the 40 inches of a regular strap. Okay, and these are 18 feet long each. And so you've got a total of 36 feet of paracord here. So if you wanted to do it all in one color, you'd need 36 feet if you're buying paracord in bulk. Okay, and we have bought it in longer quantities, but we find that most people, like I said, will fit using just 2 of these. And there are ways actually to lengthen this out. I'm not going to do it today, but you could make it longer by alternating some braiding in here instead of this macrame knot that we're going to be using to make this paracord strap. So if you intersperse that with some braiding, you could make this significantly longer. And it would be just as comfortable on an ukulele. So the width of the strap is one of the main features that I really like this, because if you usually buy a guitar strap or something, you're talking about something that's a lot thicker, you know, and it just looks odd with an ukulele so small, and you just don't really need that weight distribution that you would with a guitar strap, because the ukulele is so much lighter. And so this is my completed one, and I'm going to show you how to start this off. First of all, what we want to do is we're going to find the 2 ends. So in order to do that, we're going to throw this out there, and then I'm just gonna pull it and untangle it. And normally it will knot up pretty good. So sometimes I'll go twice through just to make sure that it's nice and straightened out, because I don't want any kinks in here when I'm trying to do the stuff on it. And I'm just going to let that phone ring, so just ignore that. But now I've got the one end, and now I'm going to find the other end and put them together. And it's not actually the ends here that we want. It's the exact opposite side, right? So where we're going to have this nice little loop here at the end. Okay, so that's our loop that we want to have. And I got to do the same thing with this other one. So these are different brands. I both got them at Walmart, but they were actually in different sections. So this one just pulls out like this, and then same thing, I'm just gonna toss it out there and then make sure it's straightened out. And this one's a little bit more twisty. Okay. And I just totally lost the other, and that's okay. So I'm gonna find my ends again. And then I'm going to put it, find my loop. Okay, so there's my loop. And this is actually the loop, the color I want to use for that side where it's going to attach. Okay, so now, because since I lost this on the ground, I'm going to have to do this again. So find my two loop points here. Okay, there's my two ends again. All right, and now we're almost to where we can start on the fun stuff. Okay, so now I've got both of my middle points here, okay, and I have to decide which one I want to actually attach to the ukulele. I want this one to attach. I usually choose the darker color if I can, unless I'm being absent-minded like I was on the other one I completed. Because there will be a little bit of dirt that sort of attaches itself there at that contact point with your ukulele, okay? So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I am literally just gonna tie a knot around this, okay? And I'm just gonna eyeball it, but you wanna get that so you just barely big enough for a strap button to get through, okay? And this will stretch and pull a little bit, and so you wanna make sure it's not very loose because you don't want it slipping off, okay? Now, whichever side is the side that's over, that's the side, and this is the trick for remembering how, which way to do your knots. Whichever side is on top in your knot, that's the side you're going to want to make a loop. So you make a little loop, then you take the other side, you go under everything and through the loop, and then you just pull it through. And then you just tighten that up, and you've got your first real knot, okay, for that. And then here's the side that's on top again. So now it's going to be on the opposite side. I used to try and remember left, right, left, right. But it's a lot easier when you're doing this absent-mindedly, like in front of a television show or something, if you're just keeping track of where that overloop is. So wherever the overloop is, that's the side you're going to make a little loop, and then you're going to go under, pull it through, and tighten it up. Now usually I'm going to do 10 of these before I switch, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 already. Okay, and it's really easy to count those upper loops too, to count how many knots you've done. So that's 5. And 6. And 7. And 8. 9. And the last one, 10. So this is where we get our crossover knot, which is also going to be strap buttonholes, so that this is adjustable for every about 1.5 inches, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these two and I'm gonna take them out, squish these to the center so you can see what I've done here. I've got these ones out over the top. Now I'm not gonna worry about which one was last. I'm just gonna put one as a loop. I'm gonna go down around all the other strings, under, through, pull it tight. This is gonna be my first knot in this section. And so you can see it's making this nice little diamond shape right there in the middle. And so that's going to be my first knot. And then I just find the one that's on the upper side, and I do my next knot on that side. And so now at this point, you don't want to leave it there, but here you can leave it, right? So if you needed to get up and go, then you could leave it here and this would be secure. If you left it on this other knot here, when I'd come back, I'd probably have to retighten that all up again. And so this is pretty much all there is to it. So you're just gonna keep that knot going. So now we've done 2 of these, 3 of these, and we're gonna do to 10. Now this is going pretty quickly, and the reason is that I've done this a lot, right? And so both me and my wife make these, and I haven't made them in a long time, but I've made so many of them that it's second nature. It just came right back to me when I was like, oh, I need to do a video on this and just show people how to do it for themselves. But it does take quite a bit of time to get fast at it. A lot of repetitive motion, but pretty soon you'll just be doing it without even thinking about it, as long as you do the practice, right? Now, if you're only going to be making one of these, that's probably just enough time to start speeding up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got one more to go, and there is 10. Right now, so I would just switch back and do the exact same thing, right? And this would end up being my, but I do want to show you what I mean by when I say to alternate this with a braid. So I'm just going to choose 2 of these. If I wanted to make this longer, and I know I said I wasn't going to show this, but then I was like, why not? Why not show it? So, so you're going to take 2 of these as one part of the braid, and then the other 2 will act singly together. Singly, not together. And so you're just gonna take that one over, this one over, this one over. Now, like I said, this is gonna lengthen this strap quite a bit. You just wanna make sure that when you do the 2 that are together, that you kind of fold them over and don't just do it randomly. Now you're still gonna have to pull these strings loose as you go along. And then just keep going, and just like a normal braid, you're just going over and over. And you can see that even though there's 2 on one side and then you've got the other 2 single strings, the pattern here is still looking good. This still looks acceptable, and this would be a good way to make it a bit longer. Now at this point, I've reached about the same length as these other ones, except I've done it using a lot less paracord, right, for that length. So if you really wanted to make a really long one, you could alternate this in thirds, or you could do a whole huge long section just like this, and conserve some paracord that way, or if it needed to be longer. Now at this point, I would like to see the black come back, and so I just so happen to have the blacks on the outside. So now I'm just going to make one of those knots again, make a loop, go around and up through the loop, and I want to make sure that these are all nice. And you can see that's finished it off quite nicely, and now I'm just going to continue on. Now a caution about this is that now I have 2 black macrame sections, but I only have 1 section that's this sort of browny beige stuff, okay? And so I'm going to need to make sure that I balance that out. Otherwise, I will end up with sections that are I will end up with a lot less black at the end, right? And we don't want that. We want to balance out. We want to be using this up as we go along. And if you just wanted a solid strap instead of this alternating strap, you have to keep track a little bit better, but it works just as well. The thing is that you need to make sure that you're still putting in these little things here, these crossover sections, and so you can just use two black paracord strands instead of alternating colors, but you still need to alternate. The other way to do it is to cut one section of paracord and then get a super extra long section. So you're going to cut one section of paracord to length, and then you're going to take the other section and make it, insanely long. And I've done ones like that where you've just got a solid color going back and forth all the way. So no alternating, just one solid color. And that does work, but you have to have an extraordinarily long amount of paracord to make it work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And our final one is going to be 10. Now let me show you another thing that you can do. Is you can use one of each, okay? And this is where you really need to start keeping track of the lengths. But if you want to do one of each on the outsides, you can do that as well. And so you get a slightly different looking pattern if you do that. So this one is not going to make a great knot for you to put your strap button through, because I went from one to the other here. But this will cause a unique pattern here in the middle. And it's kind of cool. So now we've got the beige in the center and beige brown, and the black alternating back and forth on the outside. Now, if you look at the opposite side of this, it's of course the exact opposite. We've got the beige on the outside and the black in the center. And so just depending on what side of the strap you're on is the colored effect that you're going to get. I still want to just keep these loops on the side that's where the last bump is, right? So whichever one's on top, that's where I'm going to make a loop. I'm probably going to speed this video up here after I get to this next 10th knot here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you start to get a feel for when you've done 10, even if you aren't counting, right? So there you go. There's a bunch of different knots there. Okay, so we've got all beiges, we've got all the blacks, we've got the braided interchange. We're back to the black, and then we've got this alternating pattern here where it's one color on the inside and the other color making up a border. And so that's pretty much it as far as the technique goes. From here, I will probably go to the beige and then back to this double color thing, and then back to the black, do another braid, and work my way backwards through that. So if we're going to do the beige next, and I think at this point I'm probably going to just speed the video up, and you can see me take this to completion if you want, or you can just skip to the end and see the final knots that I'm going to do to close it off with. It's really simple, but if you want to skip to the end, I totally understand. So, but this is just going to keep going on fast forward from about right here at 21 minutes and 8 seconds in. So. All right, so I'm getting to the end here. And the reason I'm getting to the end is because I've got one that has ended up being a lot shorter. Now, when you start interchanging your knots and doing all kinds of funky things instead of just being really even throughout, oftentimes you will end up with a short string with the braiding and all that kind of stuff. And so when you run out of a string, you just have to end. So I'm gonna, I could actually take this and go down as far as I can go, and this will just disappear in the middle. But there's no real point to it because I can't make any more crossover knots, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossover knots here at the end. So this will, be about maybe 5 or 6 inches adjustable here at the end. And then there's another one clear up here, and that one's really too high to be of any use. So this is really the adjustable length of this. Going to be about 6 inches here towards the end. That will be the adjustable size. So I'm just going to do a couple more of these. And then basically all you do to finish off is you just tie a little knot here. And tie a little knot here. Just to stop it from backtracking on you, right? And if you want to tie knots on these ones, you can, but you don't actually have to. I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's the ones on the sides that are poking out. Those are the ones that you really need to do it on to prevent it from unraveling. Whatever's in the center just doesn't need it. But there we go. That sort of gives it an end, right? And I couldn't have taken that one any further than I just did. And then one here. And sometimes I will try and space the knots out so the knots aren't all falling at the same point, right? So I've got these 2 knots at different lengths. And then at this point, you can just clip these off and burn them with a lighter or a match. And that will prevent the paracord from unraveling, or you can just leave the loose ends flapping down here. I'm going to actually do that on this one, and you can see as far as length goes, let's compare it to the one I did before and see if we got any more length out of it. So here's this one and here's this one, and because I did some funky stuff, I actually ended up being shorter this time, and that could have been, I didn't measure out the to make sure that they'd given me a full 18 feet or not. but it's actually about an inch shorter than the other one I did. And so maybe it's all the weird interplay I did. So I actually didn't end up making it any longer by adding those braids. So there you go. That's how you do it. So if you want to make one yourself, or we do usually sell these at workshops, and I've been thinking about opening some kind of Etsy shop to offer these on to people who don't live close to us. But usually I have these, like I said, available at workshops, live workshops, and I install the strap buttons for people if they don't have strap buttons on their ukuleles. And I actually just charge $5 to charge strap buttons to people. It doesn't make a huge profit or anything, and they'll charge you, $10 or more at the store if you go take them into the store to have them installed. But I actually really like straps and sort of believe in straps for my beginning students, and so I just do that as a service as far as the strap buttons. Then they can either buy one of my straps or they can go order one. And there are thin straps that you can get that aren't quite as thick as the guitar straps online. And there are, of course, different strap styles. There's the kind that have a little J hook that goes around your ukulele and hooks into the sound hole. And so there's a number of different options, so you don't have to do it this way. I just really like the Paracord. You can get it in all different kinds of colors. And of course, it's sturdy. This kind of width feels really, really nice on you going over your shoulder, and it's just right for an ukulele. So there you go. If you want to make your own strap, I hope you have had fun watching that, and uke on.